What's up, everyone? We are back, keeping our social distancing in full effect here in Singapore with another camera review this time. A camera a lot of you have been asking me to do a review on. I finally got my hands on it. Not on the market just yet. Will be soon though. It is the Fujifilm X-T4. Like always, we're not paid or sponsored by anyone, but I do want to thank Fujifilm Singapore for providing the camera and lenses for us and the battery grip. With that, let's talk about the camera. Okay, first off, let's talk about design. The X-T4 looks just like the X-T3, but there have been some design changes to it, some slight design changes which are welcome. First off, the grip. The grip feels a lot better in the hand. Now, it has been slightly enlarged, not a lot, but every little bit makes a difference. Now, of course, I have the new battery grip on it, which I love. I love the battery grip on any of the X-T series because I have larger hands. This really feels good in my hand with the battery grip. Plus, you can have 3 batteries in the camera. A lot of cameras out there with battery grips only allow you to have 2 batteries. Fujifilm lets you have a battery in the body and 2 in the grip. So that means you're gonna have a lot of battery usage because in addition to the larger grip, you have now larger capacity batteries. That means your battery life is pretty much double that of the X-T3. So for those who had a pocket full of batteries or a bag full of batteries when you're on a shoot with an X-T3, you don't need to carry so many with you now because the X-T4 covers that. Also, the dials have been refined a little bit, simplified. It still has that kind of classic look the X-T3 has had, but for some reason to me, and I don't know, this just might be a placebo effect, but this feels like it's a little bit better build quality than the X-T3. I mean, I remember reviewing the X-T3, we'll put a link in our description below of that camera, and I liked it, but everything feels a little bit more solid, a little bit more clicky. The grooves on the dials feel a little bit better, and the overall build quality of the camera just feels a little bit more premium. I don't know what it is exactly, I can't put my finger on it, but it just feels that way. One of the improvements has been the removal of the photometry or metering modes on the right dial, my right, your left dial right here on the bottom of it. Now instead they have still in movie mode, which is very welcome because it makes it a lot easier. Now, Fujifilm likes to stack dials on top of each other, like shutter speed, and then you have still in movie mode. Then also you have your ISO dial with your high-speed shooting modes there on the bottom of it. So sometimes you can move the bottom dial without realizing it, so do always just double check. It's not a deal breaker, it's just one of those situations that you have to understand that that's how Fujifilm makes their cameras. But for the most part, the dials feel a lot better in the hand and turning them. They feel a lot more clickier. This camera just feels really, really good. Besides that, EVF is still the same, 3.69 million dot EVF, 3-inch touchscreen display on the back of it, 1.62 million dots on that. These are not flagship level specs. They work, and they work well. But talking about the display in the back, one of the big improvements, which a lot of people have been wanting from Fujifilm for a long time, is the fact that you can swivel the display now. But there is a but to this. And I'll talk about that in just a bit. It's a big but for photographers out there because it does hinder a certain style of shooting. Anyway, another big addition to the X-T4 is, of course, IBIS. Now, when we reviewed the GFX 100, that was some of the best IBIS technology I've seen in a camera overall. I mean, my shots were steady along with the image stabilization in the lenses. You have 5-axis image stabilization in this camera that's borrowing from that kind of technology that was in the GFX 100, and it is really welcome because the camera is relatively lightweight. When you're using a lightweight camera, sometimes you will get shutter shake, especially when you're shooting at lower shutter speeds. This IBIS does alleviate most of that. You sometimes will still get it. It's not gonna completely kill any sort of shutter shake or any sort of handshake in it, but it does help, especially with video. Video as well. Video functionality is still there. Your 4K up to 60, all that kind of stuff. Your auto-focusing has been improved slightly. It's all there. This is a really, really solid camera by Fujifilm. This is, to me, is their flagship camera. I know they have the XH1, but we don't know if there's gonna be an XH2. But overall, that is the X-T4 in a nutshell. An evolution, not a revolution. Now, let's talk about some of the lenses. Now, I have the 90f2, which is on the camera right now, also the 16 1.4, which everybody raves about as it being a fantastic lens, and it is. It's a very, very sharp lens, one of Fujifilm's best, as well as I have the 50 140 f2.8, which is equivalent to a 70 to 200 when you're converting from APS-C to full frame. Now, For me, what I wanted to do was take this camera out to the zoo, shoot some animals, get some wildlife, get a feel of the camera, the autofocusing capabilities to it, the image quality, and thus far. And the autofocusing has improved a bit. Is it the best on the market? No, but it's in the top 5, I would definitely say. Sometimes I'm missing here and there. Could be the lens, it could be a combination of the lens and body, but the one thing that I did notice right off the bat is that the IBIS is fantastic, especially paired with a lens that has image stabilization built into it. You're going to get that 5-axis image stabilization through and through, and Fujifilm to me makes some of the best, one of the best ones out there for photography. Now when it comes to video, slightly different, maybe not as good as Panasonic from other reviews I've seen out there, and I can confirm that, but overall it is much better than a lot of the other players out there. I would definitely put it in the top 2 or top 3 in terms of image stabilization technology. Image quality, as you can see in the photos here, is really, really good. When you nail it, tack sharp, the images come out great. Now, Fujifilm, the thing about Fujifilm is that a lot of their lenses, some are older designs versus others. Some of the newer lenses are much sharper, have better image quality to them. Fujifilm probably does need to update a number of their lenses, but I mean, I really don't see a big issue at all. These are not deal breakers. These are just observations that I'm making as someone that reviews cameras versus someone who's buying it. But I talk to a lot of photographers that use Fujifilm through and through, and they are very, very happy with the X-T4 when they got their hands on it. Now, one of the big things a lot of people have been wanting changed on the X-T3 or any of the Fujifilm cameras was the ability to swivel a display out, especially if you want to do video or vlogging. Fujifilm listened to everybody. They have now done that with the X-T4, but there is a but to this. For photographers, you are missing one thing that a lot of you loved, especially me, that is the ability to shoot waist level. Before on the X-T3, I could just flip the display out, shoot waist level like this, get my shot. It was great. Now I have to flip the display out, swivel it to do the same thing. Makes it a little bit more cumbersome. This is a big thing for a lot of photographers out there who are not into videography. And some of them have told me, you know what, I'm not going to go up to the X-T4 because I need that waist level shooting. And you know what? I can't fault them for that. A fully articulated display in 2020 is essential, especially with the video capabilities and the photography capabilities this camera has. But besides that, there's no really other fault I can find on the X-T4. This is a phenomenal camera to use. Now, the lenses I have with me, of course, are the 90f2, the 16-1.4, and the 50-140. Now, with my friend Ivan Joshua Lowe, who's a Fujifilm X ambassador, I did a photo shoot with a Supra. I used the 90f2 and I used the 16-1.4 for that. Got some great shots. We used bronze color lighting. It was a setup really cool inside of a car park. I love the images that came out of it. The images are sharp. The camera performed beautifully with it, no issues at all. Then I decided to take the 50-140 to the zoo because I want to shoot animals with the X-T4. I wanted to see what it was like with the autofocusing. Has it improved? What's it like to track animals? And thus far, and I got some really incredible results from this. This lens and the camera together are a phenomenal combo. So let's talk about some of the things I wish were improved on the X-T4. First off, I wish there was a better sensor. This is the same sensor that is in the X-T3, the X Pro 3, the X100V, or 5, however you want to say it. You know what I mean? It's the same sensor throughout. So why didn't Fujifilm give us, let's say, maybe a 30 megapixel aps-c sensor? They could have. I mean, because this is essentially their flagship camera now, but they didn't. They kept it the same. Not a deal breaker, but I wish they would have done that. Another thing is, for videographers out there, your headphone jack is gone. That's right, they took it out. I don't know why they would do that, because this camera is more, in a way, you could say this is more a videographer's camera than the X-T3 is. But there is an option to use a headphone. You have to use the USB-C dongle that you can attach to that. Or if you get the external battery grip, which I have on the camera, there is a headphone jack there. But that is a very bit odd to put a headphone jack here for your video. Do you know what I mean? It kind of just makes sense that everything would come out right here, especially if you're using, let's say, a small rig cage or something like that. But they didn't do that. So it's almost like they realized after the fact, oh, whoops, we didn't put a headphone jack in, let's put it in the battery grip, kind of a thing. Nah, come on, Fuji, you guys are better than that. That should have been included. But at least you got the USB-C option there for you, so I can't fault you for that. But a headphone jack in a camera like this, it needs to be there. What else? I would have liked to seen a higher res EVF. 3.69 million EVF is not flagship level anymore. And now it's 5 point something now and above. So I wish they would have included something in there like that. It would have been nice, because while the image is clear and it's sharp in the EVF, it does look a lot better when you use a higher resolution version that I've used in, let's say, the Sonys and the Leicas and the Panasonics. So maybe we'll see it in the X-T5 or maybe the XH2 if that ever comes out. Sort of like a one of those legendary cameras that we don't know if it will make it to market, but if it does, maybe it'll have that there. Otherwise, the X-T4 is a solid camera. I've enjoyed using it. Really one of my favorite Fujifilm cameras to date. Really that good. So overall, while this video is not as long as our X-T3 review we had initially a few months back, the reason for that is because this is essentially an X-T3 Plus. As I mentioned, without this has IBIS, the flippable display, better batteries, a more refined buttons and dial system, but besides that, it's an X-T3. It's the same sensor, the same processor, same image quality that's coming out of the camera. So the question is to you, is what kind of photographer or videographer are you? If you're mainly into video, the X-T4 might be worth the upgrade, because the IBIS is essential for video, especially if you're not using a gimbal. And the display, flipping out and swiveling around helps make vlogging easier if you want to do self-recording or self-taping, or if you just want to be in certain angles and you want to see your video, how you're shooting it. This helps a lot. So then the X-T4 will be for you. But if you're a photographer, you might find the X-T3 is good enough for you, and I can't argue with that. I mean, they're both great cameras, and the X-T3 is now cheaper than the X-T4. But if you're new to the Fujifilm system, and this is going to be your first Fujifilm camera, go with the X-T4. Future-proofing. IBIS, better batteries, you don't have to carry a bag of them. You can ask Fujifilm photographers about that. Fujifilm photographers are known to carry a lot of batteries on them. The X-T4 eliminates a lot of that. And it's just a more refined camera overall. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the X-T4. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Like always, follow us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube. Any questions you have for me, hit me up in the comments section, or you can ask me on Instagram. Be safe, stay healthy, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.